You won't find success in things that you don't love. Now, this is a topic that's pretty near and dear to my heart because it's a concept I've avoided my whole life, rather, right? Like, I think we've all heard it. We've heard the trope or the phrase, find something you love and you won't work a day in your life, or something like that. It sounds like something that some rich, successful person says in passing to somebody at the grocery store. I think I've just kind of chalked it up to a trope, to some cliche that people just like to say. And it was not until recently that I really started to question that idea. The idea being a couple ideas, actually. What do I love? Have I ever done anything because I loved to do that thing? What would it look? What would my day, what would my life look like if I started to seek things that I love? And not just that, is this idea real? Is this idea more than just some like naive truth? Is this something more than just something that people like to say? And I started to go on a deep dive. And so this video is for a lot of you who maybe are in similar positions like me. Maybe you're in your early 30s, you're deep into a career. Maybe you've had multiple careers, maybe you've pivoted in your life, and you feel like maybe you're at a crossroads and you don't really know what's next, but more painfully maybe, you don't even know what you like. You don't even know what you want to do. You're just feeling lost. And so in this video, I want to talk about how to think through this idea of loving what you do and maybe some more practical ways to like search for those things. Getting into the concept. Like I said earlier in the video, I am now of the belief that you will not and you cannot find success in things you don't love. What I wanted to do was like understand, do other successful people that have found long-term success in life or maybe have built businesses that go beyond themselves, that have maybe created a legacy, do these types of people share in this sentiment? Do they believe that you have to do what you love? Or do successful people do things even if they don't love them and find success through brute force and just determination and grit? I think that's the like overall narrative of like hustle culture. That's the narrative of corporate America. It's in that finding what you love is naive. That's for children. Real adults, we do things we don't want to do and we do them anyway. And that's the way you live this life. That's realistic. And I wonder, actually, do successful people believe that? And so that's what I wanted to go and start to explore. And so I actually found a lot of quotes from people that have built really important businesses or have helped other people build businesses. And I think one person, Sam Zell, he's an American entrepreneur, billionaire guy, has built all sorts of different businesses. He has this one quote that I thought was really interesting. He said, if you control what you work on, then you can work on what you love. If you love it, you will do it for a long time. If you do it for a long time, you will get really good at it. Money will come as a result. So that's what Sam Zell said. And then I thought, okay, what about other folks? What have they said? Charlie Munger, who's one of the most successful investors of our time, who recently passed, rest in peace, Charlie. He said it in a little bit of a different way. He said, in my whole life, I've never been good at something I wasn't very interested in. It doesn't work. There's no strong substitute for interest. And the last one that I'll read to you is from Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is an entrepreneur, investor. He created PayPal. He said this, a lot of the great companies that have been built over the last 2 decades were founded by people where the company was somehow deeply connected to their identity. It was their life's project. They had some kind of idiosyncratic, different vision of what they were doing. They did something new. They built something extraordinarily big over the years, and they had extreme personalities. Lastly, I'll talk about Paul Graham. He's the founder of Y Combinator. He basically has probably funded, at the very early stages, some of the most important technology companies of our lifetimes. And he said this one quote, if you're interested, you are not astray. And so, I read a lot of different quotes too from a lot of different people in different domains of life and of the world. But the commonality that I found is that your interests, your identity, and your work and the level of success you find are so deeply connected. And I think it's for reasons that might be more straightforward than I had ever thought. And I think Sam Zell put it well. When you work on things you love, you'll naturally want to do them. Meaning, the more you want to do something, the longer you spend doing it. The longer you spend doing it, the better you get at it. The better you get at it, maybe people start to notice. Maybe people start to want the thing you're getting really good at. And that's when Sam said, money will come. And I think that's the thing. A lot of us focus on the second half of what Sam said, doing things for a long time and getting good at them. But we don't focus on the love part, which is actually the prerequisite. Doing things for a long time and getting good at them without love, I think leads to burnout. It leads to feelings of lostness. It leads to almost like a breaking point between your identity and your actions, right? And I think that is the lesson I am taking away from all of this, which is we cannot separate who we are and the work we do and the reason we do them and how long we do it and how we feel doing the things. I think there is some wisdom in doing things you don't want to do, right? Like, I don't necessarily want to eat healthy all the time, but I do not because I really want to, but because I know it's a good thing for me. But what I do love is I love the feeling of getting better. That's the driving force in why I continue to try to make gains in losing weight. Even if we go a step back, go even more meta, the reason why I'm making these types of videos and I don't feel bored at all, or I don't feel pressure, I don't feel dread about doing this, is because I genuinely love talking about things that relate to identity, things that relate to motivation, really drilling into the why behind my and your and other people's actions. I love it. I almost can't help it. I'll read one more quote to you. This quote comes to you from the founder of a podcast called Founders. His name is David Senra. Actually, he's the one that has accumulated all of these quotes that I'm reading to you. But he says this thing. He says, "It's impossible to build a company, to spend all your life energy on it and not have it imbibe with your personality, with your ethics. Everything that you think about your business and your life is going to seep in it, the good and bad parts." And I really liked what he had to say there, because I think that is so true of us as people. What is one of the greatest sources, I think, of unhappiness that I've experienced in my life is misalignment. Is where the person I am and the things I do don't match up. That makes people go crazy, right? And I think when I think about and reflect about my life, I wonder, even though I found okay success, I would say, like, I have a house, I don't really have debt, we have decent jobs, like, it's good, it's okay, but I haven't found this outsized success, if you will. And I attribute that to the fact that I have not found the thing I love, which leads me to doing something for a long time, which leads me to get really good at it. Like, I haven't found that cycle for myself. A lot of the things I've done have been kind of in little sprints and me kind of like forcing the energy a lot of the times. And it hasn't come out of this well of love for the thing. And so hopefully that helps some of you out there thinking about maybe why you're feeling miserable or lost. I think it probably has to do with the fact that you're not actually locking in to your interests, to the things you're curious about. You're not locking into something you love. Now, how do you go about finding this thing? I mean, I feel like that's the next obvious question. Be like, David, that's great and all. I agree with you. I think you're spot on, but that doesn't help me. I don't know what to do. I would say here's a really good question to help you figure out what you love. Now, you guys know I've been talking about this. The one thing in my life that I have truly loved that, nobody forced me to do was reading the Bible. I remember as a kid, as a middle schooler, I just started doing it and I really loved it. Now, if I kind of use that example to create a question that's helpful to you, I think the question is, what's something you do that you did naturally that was a chore to other people? Another would be, what comes really easy to you that is hard for other people? I think the reason why I'm asking these questions is because one is about interest, right? What felt so naturally curious to you that you just went in that direction, you just followed that force? Another one is about skill, right? Things that just were natural gifts to you. So good example for us is, again, that thing I loved was reading the Bible. The thing that actually came very naturally for me was reading in and of itself. From an early age, reading and talking, I just could understand things quickly. So I think, those two things make a lot of sense. For you, it might be something totally different, right? So yeah, those are two questions I think that can really help you start to explore at least areas of your life that maybe you forgot you loved, or areas of your life that you forgot you had some natural inclinations towards. And so I hope that helps you start to think about these things in a more practical way. Like I said, we're on this journey together. And I think if we take lessons from those that have gone before us, I found it extraordinarily surprising that these very successful people, despite having very different businesses, very different backgrounds, living in different times of the world, came upon very similar conclusions. And so I don't discount that. I don't just call them, those are just things that rich people say. No, I don't want to do that. I actually want to learn from it. And I hope you do too. So I hope you guys are one step closer to finding the thing you love, and finding the thing that feels like play, finding the thing that you can do over and over again, and in the process get better. I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much. Until next time. Peace, y'all.